Hello, Red Brody signing on. So, recently found this beautiful Dobro, which needed a lot of work. I rehabbed it. I actually had to let it sit for 3 days while looking at it, just waiting to put strings on it because the bridge repair was so massive. But the wood was great. Everything was great. It was just the bridge itself had to be, retweaked, and some repairs had to be made that were a little bit more extensive than what I'm used to. But this is I believe it's a 1934 Maybell parlor-sized guitar, Fox resonated dobro. Now, that means it's actually not a dobro. Dobros are nationals for the most part, because there was a man named Mark Dobro who worked with two other people very closely to make steel-bodied dobros, and that's where that expression comes from. They used the man's last name. He was the ultimate fabricator and designer on these, partnered with a couple other people. But anything else is just a resonated guitar. So this is a resonated guitar, not a dobro, but we say, give me a Kleenex whenever we want any tissue, or give me a Band-Aid whenever we want any kind of a bandage. We can stick to brands, and people capitalize on that, believe me. So, in every sense of the word, this is a dobro, and it is tuned to G. Nice bright sound. So I did a lot of restoration on this. One of the problems I'm having with part of that restoration was the tuners that are now very pretty and shiny, original. And if you watch one of my other videos, these are not the original heads, but the whole tuner plate and the gears and everything else there are reused. All the flathead screws, kept it as original as possible. It's got a 1937 coin on the top of it there. That's not something that I really wanted there, but that's there. Anyhow, so yeah, I put on these pearloid colored plastic tuner heads instead of the ebony colored ones that were on there, which were really tiny. I just didn't like the look of them. I have a video here on my channel that you can see how I did that. Also, I have 3 or 4 other videos about how I restored this guitar, which I'm not going to post until you see it play, so that you can see it came from pretty much junk to what it is. So, found it at a consignment shop, sitting in a dark corner. Didn't look like much, but then when I saw it, I said, oh, that's a beautiful guitar. And I didn't see a lot of the flaws in it. It had strings on it. They were hellishly rusty, and some had been replaced. So it was playable. I played it. I said, oh, it sounds good. I like it. I'll take it. I didn't pay a lot. But when I got home, I realized it's going to be like a week's worth of repairs before I can get this thing playable. The back was almost all the way off. It was so subtle, the openings. You could barely tell when I picked it up originally. Aside from that, the bridge was floating inside this resonator plate, which also needed to be deoxidized because it had so much oxidation on it. Now it's like a shiny new nickel. The fretboard, ebony. I originally thought of replacing with another fretboard I had for this same guitar, but I got creative and I started to mix some wax that you can heat and hardens with some of the sawdust, rub that in there, continued to do that a couple times, then just very let me say, probably every 5 seconds I was oiling it. I could just see the wood soaking, you know. This fretboard was so dry. And then once I started to get beads on there, I knew it was at a place where it would prevent any further cracking. But right now, if I get you close, you can't see any cracks. It's a beautiful ebony board. Also, I will be posting a video on how I got this to look the way it does. It should not, the bottom is not bound, the top is. It's got this beautiful walnutish, kind of almost red mahogany color with like a little sunburst of some blonder wood there. Not sure what the wood is on it, but it is still in a nice finish. So I had to reset the fretboard as well as get rid of the cracks. Had to reset the neck. Not unlike something you do with a Martin Fine that's older, or you know, something like that, or an older Gibson acoustic. Did have a bow in here underneath this. The wood was very dry. That is now repaired. What else did I do? So I have a little bit trouble keeping it in tune because, like I said earlier, these whole tuner plates, when I got them, they were so like just corroded and gross. I didn't want to just grease them up right away. I actually let them sit in olive oil for a little while. And so now when I'm playing, I'll hear when those tuners go out of tune. Eventually, once that dries up a little bit, and believe me, I've tried everything I can to make that happen faster, I won't have that tuning issue or sound issue anymore. The screens were originally black. I took a spray paint marker, I colored those in silver. Makes it look a lot better. That's in another video that I will post later. Again, I made videos about everything I did with this beforehand, so you can see how it became this from what it looked like, which really, I was kind of shocked when I got it home that I didn't realize how much work was going to have to go into it. So anyhow, yeah, we got the Fox resonator plate there, which sits over the semi-hollow, and then we got our sound holes here, which people refer to as shark teeth. Very Maybell. One thing that I don't think is original to this guitar that somebody did so that they could use it more as a lap slide than how I'm holding it right here is the U-nut there, which is now colored brass but would have been plated silver. Shined up the brass on the pins and everything. I don't care about original patina or anything. I want it to look like a shiny new nickel, the work I had to put into it. So added a strap lock that was broken. I have a video about that. What else? I did so much with this. Yeah, just all in all, it was a total repair. The back was off of it for so long, it actually had expanded. And I do have just, I mean, it would be like a millimeter of a lip right here for about maybe 2 inches that sticks out. I said, I'm not even going to file it down. I'm going to keep it there. God knows if the thing's going to expand again or the other side's going to go wherever, whatever. I'm happy with it. You can't notice it. It's not really noticeable, but a little bit there. I can stick some stain in there and you never know. But it's just on this one side. It's just like this much wider. I even debated taking apart one of my cheaper acoustics, and it has pretty much the same shape as this Dobro, polar sized, and said, well, maybe I'll put it on the back and then add some binding, but I really wanted to keep it original. Anyway, I haven't played one for a long time. A couple years ago, I sold my National, regrettably, and that was the last Dobro I owned. Now I have this one, which is different because it's a Fox Dobro. It's not a cone Dobro like my National. It's a wood steel body instead of a completely steel body. So completely different animal, but I'll give you some Delta Blues basics and just show you how it goes. And then if you're really interested, you can see how I restore it afterwards. Some cool tricks, some common, some not. Tune to G. All right, so. Oh, I hit that high string, shouldn't have. So there's some blues for you. You can get some bluegrassy sounds. This thing has everything. Just those are my notes. There's another video where I play that song on a cigar box guitar. Just wanted to show you the versatility of it. I'm very happy with it. For the amount of money I paid and probably sweat equity over 48 hours, but what a beautiful, shiny, nice 1930s resonated guitar I have. I would not say a Dobro because it is not a national, and Mark Dobro had nothing to do with this. This is a Maybell, and it's a collar guitar. So this would have probably been more for a woman to use than a man, believe it or not. So instead of a slide, they would have used a pipe here. Finger picks. I use an individual pick. I've learned my techniques. You know, it probably wouldn't be much need for a strap unless you wanted to put it around your waist. So there are a few things that I did just to pretty it up. Like I said, stain marker, silver color, got rid of those black screens that were looking awful and rusty. Silvered those up. In here I actually have real half pearls inside alternate sound holes for the treble part. This would be the bass, this would be the treble. When you're looking at it from, you know, POV point of view, that looks really awesome. Let me see if I can give you a show of that. So right there, and they're a lot shinier in person. You see those little half pearls I put in there, and they're not glued or anything. They're just sitting in there. The resonator's holding them. So if somebody didn't like it, they can pull them out. Again, trying to keep it as original as possible, but wanted to give it a little bit of that nice bling factor, which is why I added the pearloid keys and so on and so forth. It's got a regular white strap holder there with what do you call it? Pearloid center, which is covering the only Phillips head screw in this thing because everything else is original. But that looks more like something that is permanently mounted, like on a Martin or a good acoustic Yeah, so lots of labor. I'm gonna love playing it. And right now, my action, it's made for lap slide. It's not made for hold and play, which I was just doing. Um, that U-nut there, which you can also put your strap holder through, which I did. Um, this gives it a raised action, so you can do all that nice slide stuff. I'm actually wondering, I'm probably thinking if I lower that more like a national, or like some of the other Dobros I've owned, which have all been older. If I put more of a traditional, almost like a classical guitar nut there, I can actually get more fingering sounds on the fretboard. Right now, you hit in certain places, if you're up here on the first fret, whatever, it's all flat, it's all muted. Because of that high action, it gives you those great slides. I think that string just went out of tune. But anyhow, yeah. So if I want to get the most out of it, probably going to go lower with the nut there. But I want to find something nice. So if I can find a small piece of ivory, sometimes I find them on jewelry. I fashion them into nuts. Ivory getting more and more scarce. You're not actually supposed to own it anymore. You can get a bone nut. And there's two kinds of bone nuts. There's made of real bone, and then there's what they call a bone nut. It's just really high, low carbon plastic. And it's usually numbered so that you can see exactly what the carbon content is on that nut. That really aggravates me. This little hole here, unless you take off the whole plate, you get a lot of dust in there. You're gonna have to clean it. When I open this thing up, oh my god. It's another thing I want to talk about actually. When I open this up, very dry, bridge needed work. But you do have to take wax and go around this ring before it sits against that wood body. Otherwise, you're going to have something deteriorating and it's going to start affecting and corroding your wood. This is actually brass. I show that in one of my videos when I flip this over. These old instrument companies, especially in the 30s, they had brass on hand. They were making tubas, they were making flutes, they were making clarinets, everything with brass, and then maybe steel plating them, same as this. So even though this looks steel, nice shiny chrome, it is actually brass. I had to take a little olive oil, lots of soap, and an SOS pad, and very, very lightly go over this because it had so much oxidation. And you want to do that, and it won't scratch it. It'll just polish it. But if you put pressure, it will take it down to the brass. It'll have scratches. It'll look awful. And it was another thing I showed in my how-to video. So here's my Resonator guitar, or as we say, Dobro. So that's the reveal. I made videos showing everything I'd done to fix this thing. You're going to see them now that you've actually seen the guitar finished. I didn't want to put them up before it was finished. Alrighty, Red Roadie signing out, and this is my Maybell. It's a beautiful guitar, it really is. It's a round neck, collar size, where if you get nationals, you could have either a round neck or a square neck. The steel body is very heavy, very large, full sized. This being a Paul are more manageable. A lot of differences from Dobros I've owned, but I'm loving it. All right, Red Roadie signing out.